Welcome, everyone. You are listening to Sanctuary's Coffee and Conversation Show. My name is Myrna Haskell. I'm executive editor of Sanctuary Magazine. This is an online publication for women that empowers and inspires with a focus on the arts, philanthropic pursuits, health and wellness, inspirational travel, career, and finance. You can find us at sanctuary-magazine.com. This morning, my guest is Fabienne Jacquet. She is the CEO and founder of Innoveve. This is a consulting firm that helps businesses find their feminine side. And she also is author of Venus Genius. You can see her book cover behind her, The Female Prescription for Innovation. Good morning, Fabienne. How are you?
Good morning, Myrna. Excellent. Thank you so much for having me with you. I'm very honored and touched.
I am as well, and I love connecting with women like this. I've had so many fabulous guests on the show, and I know you're going to be another one. I want to, before we start right into the topic, to let listeners know that Fabienne's book, Venus Genius, was actually excerpted in our December 2021 issue. So you can find that from our book excerpt section, but it was also just picked in our 6th annual book giveaway. So you'll find the cover right on our homepage. If you want to find out more or purchase that, you can do that there. So thank you for that. But anyway, our topic today is women in innovation. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about the fact that women continue to lag behind a bit. I know we've made important strides, but we're still working on getting things totally equal. So before I came on with Fabienne today, I decided that I was going to look up some research to see what was really happening. And I noticed that this is a good thing. About half or 50% of those who are awarded PhDs are women. But then when you look at how many women have patents, that's anywhere, and there's all different studies from about 7 to 29, 30%. And so there's a discrepancy there. So I was hoping that you could give us a little bit of insight into that, Fabienne.
Wow, thank you for this question. As you know, it's close to my heart. And there are a lot of women inventors and innovators, but the issue is the lack of visibility and opportunities. Okay. And you said it rightly, more than 50%, I think it's 53% actually of women hold, doctorates. However, the percentage of women, female inventors, being granted a patent, I saw the number of 13% in 2019. It may have, increased now.
It's moving around all over the place.
It's moving,
but it's low, right?
It is low. It is so low. And also, if you look at the faculty, you have only around 20% of women at the full professor level in the US.
Okay.
Yeah. So the situation is not, let's say, very positive. So to try to understand why, let's go back to history. I love to do that because it explains usually a lot of things. So during the Industrial Revolution, innovation was defined by science and technology and was measured by patents. As we know, women, for all the wrong reasons, have been really not invited to the science and technology fields. It's only recently in history that women actually could enter universities, when you see that. However, the books, the story, the news are full of unsung heroes, and we're starting to celebrating them now. Yes, a lot of women who were inventors in arts also, they were in the shadow of men. So
they weren't given the credit in a lot of instances.
Absolutely. Women are not given the credit, the visibility.
Yes.
And this is a big issue. So this is a big issue in all the sectors. In business, innovation is decided at the CEO level. And other statistics, which is totally not very, very good, is that in the S&P 500 companies in the US, if women make up 45% of the workforce, which we will say, yeah, this is good, 5% are CEOs.
Yeah,
and this is really at that
low.
level, it's very low. And it is at that level that decisions are made for the future, for innovation, and for all the invention. So again, how do you want women to drive innovation if they are not in a decision-making role?
Right. Yes,
so, and I would like to share another aspect that when I did research for my book, I found quite interesting, is that through the years, innovation was considered to be for rebels and adventurers. It happens that socially and culturally, boys or the ones who are adventurers and risk-taking and so on. And girls are supposed to be, you know, quiet and well-behaved, which is not always the case.
Yes. No, it's not.
But you know, again, there is so you have business facts, you have social facts, you have historical facts, you have a lot of baggage, I would say, that holds women away from innovation, which is a pity.
Yes, it is. It is. So I want to know from you then, what would you suggest as an approach that women use in order to get their ideas heard or to move ahead in their industry or their company?
Okay. So the first advice is really simple and clear. Don't try to behave like men. This is unfortunately what happens in companies. In order to be a leader, in order to be recognized, you have to use your masculine energy. In innovation, it has been, like, you know, I said, innovation has been driven by the masculine energy, like all the business and so on. But innovation is not a business. It leads to business. But the process of innovation doesn't need the masculine energy. It needs it at one point. But at the beginning of the process, you need to have a lot of feminine energy, like empathy, compassion, intuition, collaboration,
Creativity too, right?
Creativity, yeah, and creativity is exactly this fuzzy, a little bit crazy and not organized thing, which is very female. The male energy is more organized, assertive, you know, and decision-making and so on, which is good, but we need both. And so far, what has been privileged is the masculine energy, again, because of history and a lot of things. And I don't say, I want to be very clear, it's not men versus women. It is the masculine energy and the feminine energy. We are all, as human beings, we are all a unique blend of both. Yes, and actually, when I have talks, and I know I have this poll about are you more masculine or feminine, it is amazing. In the science, like, you know, I did speeches in the energy sector or finance sector. You have like 75% of women say, oh, I'm more masculine. I go to well-being or to fashion, and it's the reverse. And for the business owners, small businesses, it's quite balanced. And this is perfect because for innovation, we need both. We need the masculine and we need the feminine. So
and there's been, have you seen, I'm sorry to interrupt, Fabienne,
no, this is a conversation. I can do that all the time.
Have you found that there's a lot more small business owners female owners and minority owners? Because I had read that too. So that's really a piece that's coming way up. It's more in the corporate world where we're still seeing a way higher percentage of men who are leading teams and leading the companies.
You did your research. I like that. I'm a scientist, so I love people who do research.
I know.
And for the book, I knew I would be challenged for the book. So this is why, as a scientist, I have my research data and backup and so on. It's important. And this is a very good point because, as I said, we need women to step up and bring their feminine energy there. This is a given. We miss that, and it's needed. Okay, so don't try to behave like men. We have enough men doing that. Bring your specific energy to that. However, it happens. And I'm also one of those who after a while say, you know, corporate, I'm done. It's very tough. It's very tiring to try to prove yourself and so on as a woman and to be accepted at the table and to be heard. It's a lot of energy. So what we see more and more, and you're totally, you know, fine on that and right, is that women leave the corporate world and they are entrepreneurs. And this is where they shine. They shine because they have, most of them, they have this balance of the feminine and the masculine. They have to have the masculine because you run a business with data, you know, and decision-making and being assertive and so on, fine. But they bring this feminine energy. And I read actually statistics that if startups led by men are more successful in the short term in terms of revenues, in the long term, women, female-led startups are better because they have a long-term view and they build also relationships and networks. So I think this is a great thing for women to understand that they have a chance in corporate, but I also have now, and especially now with the virtual world and all the technologies and so on, and this sharing economy, this is a new world. And women and minorities, to your point, it's booming. It's exploding, which is great. And I'm really encouraged that, because we'll have all this unique set of skills that we can put at the service of a startup and a small company, a small
Oh,
business.
that's so well said. You know, I just thought of something, Fabienne. You know, of course, we've been going through this pandemic all of this time, right? And so I was just thinking, because we were talking about the different female characteristics and creativity and all of that. I know a lot of women business owners and restaurant owners who really had it sort of hit the ground running and think on their feet and use a big part of their creative side to get through the pandemic. It was sort of a time where you had to change up your business. You know, you might have had to do more virtual programming. We did that at Sanctuary. You know, you had a change in the restaurant industry. They had to really like revamp everything, you know, when they weren't able to have customers initially come inside and all of that. And I'm wondering if you just think personally that women were able to handle that a little bit easier than men were, because it was one of these things where you had to suddenly think out of the box, lose everything you thought was true before, and just start making changes right away.
Excellent point. And the answer is yes, because men are more rigid. They're more driven by the bottom line and the numbers. And I think I interviewed in my book, actually, one of the restaurant owner in New York City, and you don't have that many female owners. And she was telling me when things happened, she really focused on her employees and her business and how to make it happen and so on. She was not panicked about, you know, the numbers. Of course, the numbers are there, but what can I do? Roll the sleeves, collaborate, but also very profoundly have empathy for the workers, for the employees, and say, okay, how can I work with them to make this happen? Instead of saying, okay, I look at the numbers, I have to fire these people and so on. And I don't say that men do that, okay? But okay, the masculine energy will have the tendency to be very cut and dry and say, okay, these are the numbers, this is what I do. The female will say, okay, maybe I can do that another way, to your point. And also, I refer to the book because I did so much research, but a friend of mine said, you know what, women and men innovate differently. So men are problem fixers. Women will try to find solutions another way. They will look at the big picture. And also women innovate and they invest for the long term.
Okay, I heard you say that earlier. That's
yes.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way.
In finance, you have more women who invest in impact investments versus men. When you see health, they think long term also in terms of the environment. So we need this feminine energy for the big challenges we're facing today, you know, health, we know that, unfortunately, environment. Women are thinking long-term, and when they get onto something, we may not know, I didn't know before researching that actually in the low-income countries, women account for 60 to 70% of the farming. And they produce 20% more than men when they have, you know, a farm. So there is something to be said about the resilience of women, the longer term, and how they handle situations, thinking of the people. And you could see that at the beginning when we had the COVID, the countries like Germany or New Zealand or the countries that were held, you know, by women, it was a better situation, because they thought of the people, not only again the numbers and how to be the first one to get the vaccine. As I said, you know what, the masculine energy, say, oh, I have to be the first one to find the solution and to make money out of it, instead of saying, well, let's collaborate globally to find a vaccine and make it available to everybody. This should have been the path. We are getting there, but it's not there yet. So you see, there are different, again, you need both. I always
need
come back
both.
to
And I want to dig into that a little
yes.
more, because you know what I'm hearing from you? I'm hearing collaboration and teamwork. I know that's how I work with my team. I'm a big team player. So let's dig a little bit more into, as a woman leader or business owner, How important is it to pull from both sides, both your feminine and your masculine characteristics? And is it something that you have to be like truly aware of what those masculine characteristics that you have that you really need to tap into, or vice versa? Let's just dig in a little bit more to the balance of masculine and feminine.
Yeah. So again, I love to understand better where people are. So in my workshops, and so I have different masculine traits and different feminine traits that, you know, you can always say, oh, I don't like labels either, but you have to call a cat, okay? Their genders exist, period.
Right.
Okay, you have gender fluidity, you have a lot of things happening locally, and I'm very happy about that, but you still have feminine, masculine, okay, it's there. So how to balance that and to better understand? Again, everybody is different. I come from a scientific background. I was brought up between two brothers. My daddy was in the army. I had this big masculine side. That was very helpful and brought me where I am today. And I'm very proud of that. However, I missed this feminine energy that I had here brewing, but I didn't let it out because I was not allowed in the, you know, in the world of science and men. I had this big motorcycle. I was drinking beer. I was telling dirty jokes, and so because I had to be accepted.
Yeah, you wanted to feel like you were part of it, and if you were so very different, then you don't feel as part of it, I guess, right?
Absolutely. When you had so few girls for boys at that time, and so I personally am masculine, and it was good. However, when I understood, thanks to, you know, people, thanks to working on myself, yoga, a lot of things that I needed to let this feminine, energy get out. This is when I finally met my husband, you know, because before men was like, woohoo. I was very, you know, again, the energy was not right. And when you balance both, because you need both again, you are better. So depending on where you start, and there is no judgment, you can be very feminine or masculine and in the middle, just know where you are, understand where you are, and then you can work on each side. So the feminine, usually we don't have to work on it because we have it naturally. However, as it depends on the environment, we may want to go back to it, reconnect. But a lot of women have trouble with the masculine energy because when a woman is assertive, self-confident, it's very easy to say that she's, how to say that politely.
I know exactly what you mean. She's not very nice.
Exactly what I mean.
She's a witch.
And that she's, thank you. Okay, thank you for saying it. Although I can swear in English, it's easier for me. So she's a bitch. She's hysterical. You have all these qualifications when you are, you know, acting as a man. I mean, with these qualities. So we have to forget about that, and we have to really impose our power as we are. And I want to, I have this quote. I want to say it right. I love this quote. It's from Bella Abzug, and it's, "Women will change the nature of power rather than power changing the nature of women."
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it gives me chills.
I love that. I might just have to share that.
I will send you.
We're big on quotes at Sanctuary, so.
Yeah, but no, because I think it's beautiful because it's that we are powerful as we are. And the matriarcha, the feminine energy is very powerful, but it's a different type of power. And then I say in French, we have two words for power. We have puissance, and so puissance is that comes from here, which is inside. You know, like Nelson Mandela had that. So, you know, all these big leaders have that, and they're very powerful. And the other one is that this control, like, you know, this, the power is like, yeah, I have the power, I can, you know, crush you. And this is not good. Okay, so the power has to still be redefined, and with a feminine twist.
With a feminine twist, I like that. Yes, with a feminine twist.
Yes. So this is what women have to do.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, this is what you have to do. See where you are, rebalance, and find your own style. Yes. Everybody has their own style to impose. I know that I smile a lot. And in the corporate world, I haven't, you smile, you know, you must smile too much. Doesn't look corporate. You're
not being serious about what the product is or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, and I just answered that I was getting more things done with my smile than bullying people, which is true. And again, it's not manipulating. It's just being who you are. I'm a happy camper. I was born with a smile. That's
You know what, Fabienne,
am.
me too. And I like to think of it more as enthusiastic.
Yes. It's funny. Oh, in my performance evaluations for a while, every year I had too emotional, too emotional, too emotional. One day I went to this innovation conference and this professor was showing that people who are called emotional, in fact, they are passionate. And these are the people who make innovation happen. So I came back with a study and never again I had that in my evaluation. So to your point, it's being passionate. And this is what drives the world. People who are passionate about something and make it happen. So we have to let this go. And we are all unique. We are all unique. And the beauty of this world is to welcome the diversity, be inclusive, let all these talents flourish. As we say, a lot of entrepreneurs are minorities, so-called minorities. So there is a good reason. Yes, and they are good. And everybody brings something. Like these conflicts of generation that drives me nuts. Okay, boomer, what is that? We made mistakes, but they are making mistakes. So we need their energy. They need our wisdom. We can all work together because we have big challenges on hand. Instead of fighting, let's partner and let's do something.
Oh, I love that. Yes, absolutely. Great message. So I'm hearing us talk a lot about these characteristics, and I just want to send it home at the end for listeners. I'm hearing teamwork, collaboration. Are there any other things that you think that female leaders really tap into that develop a strong community or business leader, but also somebody who's compassionate? Are there any other female characteristics you'd like to talk about that you particularly think make for a good leader?
Okay, now you're talking about something I'm passionate about. Remember, I'm a chemist, so I couldn't resist.
Okay, I love it.
I did my little, and I have it also in the book, my little formula for successful innovation using the feminine. So I will try to hold that so that you see it. You do see it?
I can see it. Perfect.
Okay, so you need to practice empathy, and I'll go in more details, but empathy, nurturing, inclusivity, intuition, gratitude. And when you catalyze with collaboration, then you get solutions that, so the heart is for an entrepreneur being, able to do something you love and that will bring revenues, which is the dollar. And as an enterprise, a business, you will be able to create innovation that emotionally resonates with consumers and brings revenues to your bottom line. Okay, so this is my little formula. And to come back to empathy, if you don't have empathy for the person you innovate for, and I have almost a chapter on high heels. I had 2 foot surgeries because of high heels, my entire wearing, and running in high heels my entire life. So yes, we want to feel sexy. Yes, we want to feel beautiful, but we also have to feel comfortable and able to walk, for God's sake. So and this is quite recent, when I heard a very famous male designer who says, I design shoes for women, thinking of men because they will have the pleasure to see them in them. I was like, excuse me, what about the woman, suffering and ending up in the emergency room because of you? Yeah. So there is a balance, and these are facts, and it's increasing. And during the pandemic, the number of women going to emergency room, because of that, decreased sharply, of course. We don't wear heels on Zoom.
Listen, I gave up those 5 and 4 inch ones long ago. I have a bad back, I mean, you can find sexy shoes that aren't those. We know we're talking about.
Women are very good at that because they understand what it is. And men who understand what women, and then again, it can be a man or a woman. But if you understand what they are going through and walk for one day in high heels, I know. If men would do that, they would, I think, get it.
Well, the ladies, I think in the 80s anyway, in the US, started with the sneakers walking to work, right? And they'd have their heels in the back. Remember that?
I did that in my corporate life because, taking the subway and so on. Anyway, but we shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to wear something that is, according to our beauty standards, but still we can work. So it's just an example of how empathy is important. But also, we always think empathy for the consumer. What about empathy for Mother Nature? What we do today, we create innovative solutions. And at the end, I say, oops, but it hurts Mother Nature. What can we do to fix that? Instead of that, if we would, from the very beginning, from the get-go, design solutions that take into account the needs of Mother Nature and the environment, we wouldn't have to correct that afterwards.
Right.
So
and that's a money saver too, because you're not going back and trying to fix things after the fact.
And flood.
You're not being sued for liability, all of that, right?
Yes.
If you were creative from day one on that piece.
You have to, you have so many benefits. And so this is for empathy. And then when you move to nurturing, which is, it's a very feminine name. No, it's not. It can be acquired, believe me. I'm not nurturing at all. And I learned by gardening. Everybody has a different way, okay? So, but nurturing is extremely important for the ideas, because, you have a lot of ideas. And ideas at the beginning you laugh at them. It sounds like it's stupid, but it's a good idea. It's fragile. It's like a small plant. You have to go back and work on it and combine it with other ideas. And this is how it works. And I have examples in my workshop where people, they laugh and they say, okay, now work with me to make this idea not ridiculous, but the next big innovation. And then you have the inclusivity. And I think we're all there. Good ideas come from everywhere. And the best ideas, and it's proven scientifically, come from diverse teams. Everybody has ideas. Everybody is different and can bring the voice at the table. Then you have intuition. Intuition is not a crystal ball. Intuition is when you have a lot of information in your head and you let it settle, either by, sleeping, or Innoveve, the name of my company, came into my sleep because I had done a lot of work of what I wanted to do and so on. And it came to me like that, but it's not like, woohoo, this strange thing. It's just like your brain, your beautiful brain, connecting all the dots in ways that are unique. And this is what intuition is. And then you have the gratitude for everybody, for the other functions, for the people who help you, for your suppliers, for and so on. And then the magic bullet, the what I call the catalyst, is the collaboration. Because again, you cannot do it alone. Technology is evolving.
Absolutely not. Biggest mistake some leaders make, right? That they can do it alone. You cannot. Absolutely.
So, in a nutshell, this is my secret recipe, not secret now, about how to innovate with, bringing this feminine energy, and why it's not something foo-foo or nice to have or soft skill. It is very powerful and brings money at the end.
Absolutely. Well, let me give you a minute or two to dig in a little bit on Innoveve. You want to let our listeners know what it is your consulting firm does?
Yeah, so Innoveve is like the book Venus Genius, is built on exactly my passion, which is transforming, innovation by embracing the feminine energy. So there is the book. I have workshops where I help either individuals or businesses, and I want to concentrate on small businesses because I've been in the corporate world and I know it's tough, and we're a one-person operation, and I want to really focus on where I can have the biggest impact. Okay, and small businesses, and especially held by women, need help there. So I have these workshops. I have workshops when you can create prototypes. And my big project for 2022, and I'm so excited about, is that some friends told me that they had bought my book and couldn't read it. I said, why? I said, because my teenage daughter took it from me and I cannot get it back. I was like, no, but I didn't
Good for those teenage daughters.
I was like, I did not expect that, because it's supposed to be a business book. Of course, I talk a lot about me, and my English is not, academic, so people get it. And I had a lot of anecdotes, and some I say, oh, nobody talks to me and taught me about innovation in the feminine at school. And I found that very intriguing. So
that's wonderful.
Yes. So I'm now creating a video course based on the book and all the principles that we covered today, but targeting teenagers. And the title is Smart Rebel, Innovate Your Future. Thank you, because at the end of the day, and I know I don't have kids, and people say, are you nuts? The teenage target is the most difficult. And I must admit that discovering the teenage world, I'm learning a lot.
But you did it inadvertently. You didn't even realize you were doing it.
But Myrna, this is why I'm so passionate about it. Innovation is the future of the world, because this is the front end of where it happens. And teens are the future of the world too. So combining both, to me, is extremely powerful. And I tell them, I'm trying to move you from troublemakers to change makers.
I like that. Troublemakers to
energy.
change makers. And it gives them something to focus on and goals to focus on. And that becomes their passion. So yes, I love that. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a lot of entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs who follow us. So I'm going to be sure that I send some tweaks out there to make sure people see this episode, because it's so very important. And thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you to you.
I'd like to close, as I always do, by wishing all of our listeners and our readers good health, happiness, and continued inspiration. We hope that your new year started fabulously. Take care.